With Samsung moving into the #1 position of global chip production and them being the only large-scale chip developer that is also an end product manufacturing company, the company finds itself in a rare position of not only being able to align itself with consumer needs of the future, but also to forecast, project, design, and deliver on that vision. Some of the overarching trends include awareness. Our awareness of the world around us continues to grow. Digital footprint. As humans, our digital footprint continues to expand and grow, and along with it, our digital capabilities will continue to expand and grow as well. Connectivity. The trend is for us to become 100% connected to the world 100% of the time. Smart everything. We are adding bits and pieces of AI intelligence to everything from our clothes to our cars, kitchens, houses, water supplies, and much more. Conversational interfaces. Over the coming months, we will have a growing ability to talk back and forth to the objects around us. The conversational interface will become far more convenient, intuitive, and cross-cultural than anyone can imagine. Hyper-personalization. AI plus sensors everywhere will enable us to be far better cared for and better understood. The combination of 5G and soon 6G, extended reality, embedded AI, and ubiquitous sensors means that all life experiences from birth to death will become augmented experiences. In little more than a decade, digital personalization and assistance will blend into nearly every task and experience. And Samsung is at the heart of making this all happen. In short, Samsung is in a very unique position to create the future. For these reasons and many more that I will talk about in a moment, we think the 평택캠퍼스 for Samsung, we think of it as a showcase for the world, a showcase company on a showcase campus, in a showcase city, and in a showcase country. However, we live in a divided world. Society is being divided into two competing factions. One believes that technology will become the savior of humanity and is generally accepting of all new advances, while the other believes that technology is destined to lead to the destruction of humanity and less technology is better. Leading tech voices like Elon Musk, Bill Gates, and Stephen Hawking have issued grave warnings about the runaway dangers of general AI. But at the same time, other leading voices like Ray Kurzweil, Rodney Brooks, and Kevin Kelly believe that technology will take us to the next level of humanity, transhumanism, where humans evolve into something far better than who we are today. Samsung's new campus is destined to become a battleground and has to somehow integrate these two competing factions into its design. One group is wary of all new technology and highly resistant to any perceived intrusiveness, while the other group wants to push the limits. One is more back to nature, untethered, embracing a freedom from technology approach to life, and the other will opt for more of an anti-naturalist approach, and it will be up to us to engineer our own survival, citing that nature has never been human-centric and will never survive unless we take matters into our own hands. Taking these two competing factions into consideration, the buildings will need to be designed around openness and inclusion, not closed and divided. For these reasons, Samsung will need to take the lead in guiding the world's thinking with collaborative workspaces, fostering and embracing new startups, providing event space, research space, accelerator space, maker space, and walk in the mud barefoot space. Samsung will need to simultaneously and circuitously embrace these competing mindsets. We are the best of what humanity has to offer, and we are the worst of what humanity has to offer. At the same time, Samsung's leadership role needs to espouse a desire for a better world ahead, and this philosophy needs to come through loud and clear as the voice of reason, our most trusted source of trusted information, the guardian of humanity, and the guardian of our future. The best way to avoid the possibility of getting disrupted by disruptive technology is to become the disruptor. As always, the easiest way to predict the future is to create it yourself. We propose the creation of a supply chain of talent for both internal and external disruptors. The people who are most influential in creating the future tend to fall into a creative class that is defined by ingenuity, resourcefulness, and a passion and often obsession with making their mark on the course of history. People that fall within this group of personality types invariably have a strong desire to hang out with other like-minded individuals. Samsung has a rare opportunity to not only create the world's foremost collection of creator-class attractor facilities in one place, but also develop the incentives to pull in remarkable people into its direct and indirect talent pool. By adding a futures team to oversee the operation, Samsung will have the unparalleled ability to both steer, drive, and disrupt the marketplace for the world. Here are 8 ways for Samsung to become the foremost changemaker for the foreseeable future. Number 1, the Museum of Future Inventions. What images come to mind when you think about the future? Do you think about the near-term future with 3D printers, driverless cars, and robotics? Or do you think about more distant futures, space travel, human cloning, and teleportation devices? People make decisions today based on their understanding of what the future holds. In fact, our vision of the future permeates virtually every decision we make in our lives today. So if we change our vision of the future, we actually change the way we make decisions today. Simply hearing about future technologies will create a small level of engagement. However, becoming fully immersed in a future experience, where you see images, videos, and animations, listen to thought leaders, deep thinkers, and futurists with interactive models you can touch and manipulate, all of these things have the potential of becoming a truly transformative, life-changing experience. Part of the magic of the museum will be in the exhibit building process. Every exhibit will begin with a basic core idea about a future invention, and that idea will be written up on a single sheet. These descriptions will then be sent out to a small group of storytellers, and each of them will write up a short story about that invention. The short stories will then be sent to a group of artists and illustrators who will create a series of images about these short stories. From there, this growing body of work will be sent to animators, to videographers, mixed reality teams, and modelers to continually grow the number of visual elements associated with the exhibit. Once all of the elements are assembled into an exhibit, well-known people will be invited in to comment on it as a way of adding to the final series of narratives associated with it. Realism creates viability. So adding elements of realism to our vision of the future makes them increasingly viable. Invariably, this kind of influence will translate into massive new innovations, the kind of innovations we'll need to drive our economy forward. Inside the museum, each pavilion will serve as an industry-specific focal point for innovation. As an example, a future energy pavilion will focus on 3 to 5 key developments that will change the industry, along with a combination of roadmaps, timelines, and scenarios to help people understand the benefits, implications, and breakthroughs necessary to pull them off. Pavilions, exhibits, and displays will be constantly updated and revised. Unlike traditional museums where artifacts are artfully placed in a glass case and not touched for years, our understanding of the future is constantly evolving. This will require that each exhibit incorporate a combination of rapid prototyping, interactive multimedia production, concept visualization, storytelling techniques, and more than a few new processes to be invented along the way. To start with, the museum will include 8 pavilions. These 8 pavilions will include the Reinventing Energy Pavilion, Future Transportation, Nanotechnology, Future Education, Robots and Automation, life sciences, space commerce, smart home and smart living pavilion. And that's just to name a few. These titles are only a starting point and will likely be renamed along the way. In addition to the main pavilions will be a number of other featured areas to engage young and old people alike. At the heart of the museum will be an exhibit for what I call the Immortal 8, which are the 8 technologies that will guarantee a spot in the history books for people who invent them, making them immortal. The Immortal 8 will include controlling gravity, controlling human aging, controlling the weather, and controlling time. I will leave the last 4 up to you and to your own imagination. But unlike traditional museums focused on the past, this one will function as a working laboratory of the future, one where visions are constantly being built, rebuilt, and rebuilt again. The future is not a destination. Rather, it's a journey built on the backs of crazy, passionate people with brilliant minds, dogged determination, and an obsession with making a difference. We see them as crazy, but history will view them as genius. I should note that in the Museum of Future Inventions, every exhibit about the future and the inventions and technology that are coming out of it will come with a multi-million-dollar incentive prize, much like the X Prize Foundation, to draw attention to specific achievements that are deemed to be at the heart of these advancements. Hence the Prize Tournament Center for the Future. Number 2, Prize Tournament Center for the Future. The most famous prizes in the world today are the Nobel Prizes. However, those are backward-looking prizes, intended to reward some of the world's best and brightest people for past accomplishments. Incentive prizes are different. They serve a vastly different purpose to incentivize people for future accomplishments. They help us build something I call attractors. An attractor is an idea that has reached critical mass. This means it's become a very potent idea with enough gravity to pull people towards it. Future events such as putting a man on Mars, finding a cure for cancer, developing a fusion energy reactor, or inventing a mass-market flying machine are all well-known endpoints that have become staples of our culture and a common theme in media as well as a global conversation. In our daily lives, we often discuss these attractors without any awareness that the mere discussion of the topic reinforces its role as an attractor. Our need to compete is something that has been instilled in us at a very early age. We compete with people physically, in athletic competitions, politically in popularity competitions, and intellectually in academic competitions. But when it comes to science and math, the fundamental building blocks needed to advance civilization, we have very few finish lines. By adding incentive prizes to the exhibits at the Museum of Future Inventions, they suddenly take on far-reaching attractor characteristics. Attractionary futuristics is an emerging science that I've been developing at the Da Vinci Institute. It's based on the science of attractors. This new field explores what effects known future events will have on present-day activities. One good illustration of this is Da Vinci's artwork. During his lifetime, Leonardo da Vinci dedicated over 500 drawings and 35,000 words to the concept of flying. He used the tools at his disposal to convey the idea that flying would someday become both viable and practical. His ideas managed to survive through the centuries and eventually came to life 300 years later in the form of a hot air flying balloon, and 400 years later with the Wright brothers flying machine in 1903 in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. Even though communication systems were crude, the Da Vinci drawings served as a source of inspiration and a blueprint of sorts for making it happen. Other notable visionaries have influenced our thoughts in everything from science fiction novels to comic books to future-based movies. Much like a conductor directing an orchestra, people who work on developing a future attractor network will find themselves at the very nexus of where the future is being created. They become part of the attractor-reactor detonation process where the future meets the present and life as we know it becomes a footnote in history. Number 3, Emerging Tech Accelerator. The Museum of Future Inventions will drive the need for business accelerators. Startup accelerators are a magnet for startup talent. Not only do they provide an ecosystem of support for new ventures, they also create a growing base of talent, like a farm club for future startups. Accelerators become a proving ground for emerging ventures, filled with the infrastructure support and the training that would otherwise be time-consuming and difficult for startups to find on their own. Accelerators often provide access to symbiotic support networks designed to offer everything from emotional and financial support to mentors with the wherewithal to help push cutting-edge ventures over the crest of viability. This entire ecosystem is designed to support startup teams that may otherwise feel isolated. Accelerators help founding teams build critical strategy documents such as business plans, 5-year financial forecasts, a sales and marketing strategy, and a technology roadmap. Accelerators also help the founding team in identifying gaps in critical skill sets and then build a short-term as well as a long-term hiring strategy. One additional benefit accelerators provide is a first look at the emerging tech landscape as new ideas percolate their way to the next generation startups. This is a key benefit that should not be overlooked. Number 4, business colonies. Business colonies are where gig workers come to find their next gig. At the heart of every gig worker is an inspired one-person business, and business colonies are an organizational structure designed around matching this talent with pending work projects. The operation will revolve around some combination of resident people based in a physical facility and a non-resident virtual workforce. Most will be organized around a topical area best suited for the talent base of the core team. As an example, a team of photonics engineers will attract projects best suited for that kind of talent. Likewise, a working group of programmers specializing in computer gaming applications will serve as a magnet for those gaming projects. Over time, most large corporations will launch their own business colonies as a way to expand capabilities without adding to their headcount. Staffed with a few project managers, the company will use the colony as a proving ground for experimental assignments best performed outside of the cultural bounds of the existing workflow. Colonies will develop their own standard operating procedures with consistent agreements, payment processes, legal structures, management software, and methods for resolving disputes. Over time, they will be rated on their ability to complete tasks with specific ratings on efficiency, quality of work, and how well they treat their talent. Number 5, collaborative workspace. The combination of a Museum of Future Inventions, Tech Accelerator, and Business Colony will drive the need for a collaborative workspace. Talented people love to hang out with other talented people. So what is it about co-working defined as a collaborative workspace where diverse groups of freelancers, remote workers, and other independent professionals work together in a shared communal setting that makes it so effective? In short, it's because people are looking for a better network. Everyone growing up has a rough idea of what they think success should look like. For teenagers, their heroes are people who have launched their own video games, become a social media star, started a band, filmed a rockumentary, created a mobile app, written a graphic novel, or won a major video game tournament. To them, the accolades and notoriety that comes with these kinds of experiences far outweighs the tedium involved in credentialing new skills. For Gen Z, nothing resonates quite like being involved in an authentic, accomplishment-based learning experience where meaningful work is making a meaningful impact. Our experiences far outweigh traditional learning every day of the week. Collaborative workspaces embody all the essential ingredients young professionals need to get what they want out of life. Number 6, makerspace. Once a great idea forms in our mind, we have a tendency to want to act on it, and that is where makerspaces come into play. A makerspace is a unique workshop where people will have access to the tools, techniques, and talent to make things happen. They are a collaborative workspace for making, learning, exploring, and sharing. Typically, makerspaces are open to kids, adults, and entrepreneurs and come equipped with a variety of maker equipment, including 3D printers, laser cutters, CNC machines, solder irons, and even sewing machines. The core idea will be to create a facility filled with tools, gadgets, devices, and the people who can help guide you when you run into a problem. Talent attracts talent, and creative genius will inspire other creative genius. Makerspaces have a way of inspiring a new generation of young people with their energy, focus, and enthusiasm. One example is the square card reader that came out of a makerspace, and that single device actually turned the entire financial world on its head. Number 7, the Conference Convention Center of the Future. People who attend conferences are all part of the creative movers and shakers class who are themselves change makers in the business world. These attributes align closely with the desire to make the Piontek campus a continual talent attractor. Talent and ideas virtually always attract more talent and ideas. The conference world is undergoing a radical transformation in the post-pandemic world. Virtually every event will be a hybrid event, and every single location event has the potential to become a multi-location event. As the event, conference, expo, convention world moves forward, Samsung is in a unique position to not only be on the forefront of what comes next, but to drive the underlying innovations that bridge both in-person and virtual experiences. Number 8, Experimental Education and Training Center of the Future. The human race has an unwritten mandate to pass our rapidly growing base of knowledge and information on from one generation to the next. However, the tools we have today are not up to the task. In their present form, libraries are not good enough, schools are not fast enough, and technology still has a poor interface for the human mind. But changes are happening quickly, and Samsung is well poised to take advantage of this transition and help redefine the interface tools for the human mind. We're entering a world that will require higher caliber people to make it work, and it is preposterous for us to think that our existing systems can suddenly start producing better results. Each of us has only one body, one mind, and one life, and whatever we do to increase our skills and capabilities will make each of us more valuable on the world stage. People in the future will view themselves as being in a constant state of improvement. This means that over the coming decades, we will become exponentially more fixable, trainable, repairable, improvable, and even reinventable. It will no longer be about who we are today, but who we have the potential to become. When it comes to education, we have met the enemy, and it is us. Ironically, we need to step aside so that AI and automation can help us unlock the person who we were truly meant to be. If we apply AI to teacher bots, the new game will be to find the fastest way to teach students. Over time, using a conversational interface, AIs will learn every student's interests, their proclivities, their idiosyncrasies, preferred tools, personal reference points, and how to keep them engaged in learning, even in the face of distractions. AI will know when a person's skills are deficient, what's needed to bring them up to speed, how and when to schedule their next training, and when they've mastered a new topic. Throughout this training curve, individual learning will begin to scale far faster than anything we've ever dreamed possible, 4 times, 6 times, perhaps even 10 times faster than anything today. Completing the equivalent of a 4-year college degree in 1 to 2 months is entirely possible with this form of AI learning system. As always, the advantage will go to those who are most prepared. prepared for jobs that currently don't exist, using technology that hasn't been invented yet to solve problems that we don't even know are problems yet. The future is ours to create. The future is not being created by the meek and the timid. The future is being created by those willing to make bold moves, take on impossible challenges, and put themselves at risk. As I have said many times, there is great value in the struggle, and human nature has shown us that we only tend to value the things that we've had to struggle to achieve. The future hates complacency, so much so that it has built-in self-sabotaging mechanisms to continually hold our feet to the fire. If we are not moving forward, we are instead moving backward. There is no middle ground. Samsung is in a unique position to shape the future for years to come, for decades to come. I wish you the best on this grand endeavor.